everyone. Today I'll be talking about moving into the cloud. My name is Amar Narain. I am the Chief Information Officer at Pizza Pizza. But just before I get into my presentation, just tell you a little bit about who we are. We are a proudly Canadian company, been in Canada for over 50 years. We have over 750 restaurants across Canada, and we are Canada's largest pizza chain. We also have another brand out west in Western Canada, and innovation is something that is part of our DNA. We use innovation from our food all the way to our technology to be competitive in a very competitive industry. So one of the things we always look at from a pizza perspective or from a QSR perspective is how do we manage our customer expectation? We look at whenever a customer wants to order a pizza from us or chicken wings from us, that customer, whenever it comes, whether they come through our website, our apps, or our call center, or even walk into our store, that experience has to be really good. The best customer experience that we could give someone is make them smile when they walk in. We have to make that process very, very simple, so they can quickly order their food and it will deliver to them. And when they have something delivered to them, it should be a delicious pizza or wings or whatever they order from us. And that's what we're looking at a customer, is to have the best experience with us. So when we look at that, we look at our orders. When customer orders from us, where do they order? We have these channels. We have a customer can walk into our store and place an order. They can walk into our store and order from a kiosk, order from a POS. They can order from our website or any one of our apps or at our call center. So when we were looking at our different channels, we know customers are gravitating towards our e-commerce channels. And based on that, we look at, we need to redesign our platform because it's been 10 years old and we're outgrowing it. As our business is getting bigger, we're expanding across Canada, we're opening more stores, and we're getting a lot more customers. And not only we're outgrowing our existing solution, but it's becoming a little bit antiquated. It's too old, because if you have a website today that's 5 years old, it is a legacy system. So instead of us redesigning a website and put it on the same backend or platform, we said, why don't we look at the cloud? Look at some of the features into the cloud. What are we missing that we have on premise that we don't have on the cloud? And some of the things we look at is, what are some of the native tools that comes with cloud? Something like microservices, something like redundancy. How redundant, how reliable is the cloud is? The scalability. Part of our business is we have low peaks and very high peaks. And Friday is our busiest day of the week. We have Halloween, which is our busiest day of the year. And then we have something like Super Bowl, which is a very high peak and a Sunday for us. So considering all the requirements, we start looking at the cloud. When we look at the cloud, we said, we have the big three clouds. We have Google, we have AWS, and we have Microsoft Azure. Then we said, what do we want to do as a company? How do we want to rewrite our code? We have an option of, we could migrate our existing platform to the cloud, but then I said, it's antiquated, it's too old. So we decided to say, we will rewrite our entire code from scratch. And we want to use Python because Python is a very flexible language that we can utilize to have an agile environment. We also look at all the clouds today have microservices. And we are looking at platform as a service. So we concentrated on Google because remember, I'm going 3 years back. And at the time, all three of the big cloud has the same type of service. Google at the same time, they kind of revived Python as well as a language. So, and they were the cheapest 3 years ago. I know today more or less they're all about the same price. So we decided to go with Google. After we went with Google, we decided to say, now, how are we going to build a system? We just can't write everything in a brand new language, just turn it on and expect everything to work. So we have decided on a phase approach. Having a phase approach means you're going into a hybrid solution. And in a hybrid solution, you have to decide what do you want to move first to the cloud and how do you integrate that transition phase. So we decided to look at our e-commerce site. And our e-commerce site, 3 years ago, we were doing like 50% of our business on e-commerce and apps. So we said, well, that's the best way because customers directly using that those channels. And then we said after that, we'll look at the call center and follow suite is our point of sale. Having said that, and fast forward to 2.5 years ago, as of last October, we launched our website in October. It's amazing. It's almost a year already, and I'm still talking about it. And then we launched our apps in December of 2019. And some of the immediate result that we see is the increase in conversion rate. And our expectation at the time was we were expecting some big things to come out of this website because we thought it was great. But what we didn't expect is when you're launching a brand new website with new GUI and a new user experience, you have an existing customer base. And the expectation of that when you put in this new website, there's going to be a little downtrend in terms of customer ordering, and then you're going to see a little bit downtrend, and then in a few weeks it will increase and hopefully gets higher. What surprised all of us was that we didn't see that dip we were expecting. We see a continuous uptrend with that graph. So if you see a graph, it continues all the way up and it increases. And that's where, we were like, wow, it's better than we expected it. Of course, our conversion was much higher. Our average ticket was amazing. It was close to about 20% higher. We received positive feedback from our customer, right? And then we didn't see any performance degradation. So one thing with the cloud that we learned, and we expected this, is the way I like to describe it is, if you have one user on the website or the apps, the speed is the same as if you have 10,000 users on it. That scalability is there, the speed is there. And I think that's where customer noticed that during our peaks and a Friday evening, which is the busiest day of the week, or a Halloween, which we actually launched our website just before Halloween, it was amazing. We saw it was one of our busiest Halloween in 2019. And when we look at the peaks and the concentration of a number of customers on our website, I think my IT guys, they were just so relaxed. They were amazed to see so many people on our website without any issues at all, especially it's a fairly new website. Typically there are bugs in it. So we look at that, then the cost for the cloud. Part of going to the cloud is managing the cost and how much it will cost you, because we see it as net new cost for us because we own our data centers and we're moving from on-premise to the cloud. We managed that cost and it was as we expected it. The number of engines we were using, the microprocessors we were using, it was within what we budgeted at the time. in the last 11 months, our website has gained, I would say, more than 6 basis points in transaction. Today, we're doing over 60%. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later on. If we look at our apps, when we launch our apps at the same time in December, it was the exact same thing. Our expectation was the same. In the last, the conversion rate was much higher. The average ticket again was great. We got some positive feedback. So it's in the last 6 months, the apps gained about 4 basis points as well. So if we look at our channels, today we're doing an average of over 60% of transaction, over 10% increase in average tickets, and over 30% increase in conversion rate. If we look at this past long weekend in Labor Day long weekend, if we look at Labor Day long weekend, we did about, our digital transaction was over 66%. Normally Monday is our highest e-commerce day typically, but it was also a holiday Monday, which even makes it much better. So we're seeing customers continually to gravitate towards our e-commerce system, and we are, as a business, continue to enhance it, adding more and more technology to it to satisfy our customer and creating that convenience for our customer. So if we look at some of the agility behind if we look at some of the flexibility and agile development behind the Python code, it is much faster to deploy in real time. If you look at, for example, if we look at during the COVID in March, the midst of our COVID in March of, it's middle of March, we had to adapt to the business change. We have to be developing and deploying into production every few days during our business hours. And some of the things that we did is, what we noticed is our high performance on the website and apps. We look at the flexibility. Again, like I said, it's an agile platform, easily scalable. And these are the things we look at before. And an increase in revenue, that's something that's based on our ROI and the increase in transaction as well. And of course, who wouldn't want and appreciate the positive feedback that we receive from our customers? Something else that we didn't expect is the Webby Awards. So we did not win the Webby Awards, but we were one of the finalists. And why we celebrate being just the finalists is because we were among some of the biggest companies in the world there. We were with like Apple's, they were there with their iPad Pro. We were with Spotify as well, which is very big in the States. So to be among those and not winning is still a celebration for Pete's Pizza as a smaller company in Canada. Thank you very much.
Hi, so I got a question from Rajat. Typically, what are the broad steps for a large enterprise when they move their data lake and eating from on-prem to public? One of the things that we look at in terms of moving our data lakes is the migration. One of this, I just got cut off there for a bit. So what we normally looked at in terms of data migration is understanding the new platform, obviously, and based on the new platform is how we could convert our data while maintaining the same reporting method. And a critical point of that is using a proper ETL tool to migrate that. But like any other system, and like I said in my presentation, when we are managing a platform in the cloud and on-premise, at first you do have to have a master platform, which in our case, we still maintain our on-premise data lake The data from the cloud is syncing onto our on-premise system. But what we are currently doing is we're planning for having that data lake into the cloud. And part of that is using an ETL tool and managing the platform using those extraction to maintain our existing reporting format that we have today for the business, and especially with our BI tool that we have as well. It's something we don't want to rewrite at all. Question from Yasin. We did not do much of a lift and shift other than the data set, but in terms of rewriting our entire code from scratch, it was a very, very long process. We have to make sure we get everything in place. Our biggest challenge probably was the transition part of it, because having that cloud backend system ready, we have to ensure that those data are synced with our on-premise platform, and from there we sent our entire we sent our orders directly to our stores. So that transition has to be, it is critical. It has to be perfect, because it's the formatting that is coming from the cloud to the on-prem. So we did run into a few issues during the testing phase, and what we did to mitigate that in production is we have a monitor. Anything that does not make it to our on-premise, because these are all customer orders, we have to send them. We send them to a monitor where our call center would view these orders and either force them through to the stores or retake it. But we were looking at probably 3 or 4 orders per day, not a whole lot, so that we didn't have too many agents monitoring that, or reserve too many agents to take order. Question from Yuba Chan. What did you give? What gave you the most sleepless night? I think anytime you are working on a new platform, and especially it's our first time going onto a cloud solution, is there's so many unknowns. You don't know how well it will work, especially with our business. When we decided to cut over, we cut over on a Monday. It was one of our slowest day of the week. And the part that we were always worried about is when we go into our peak. What if something goes wrong? Because we're talking about 10,000 customers ordering from us at a peak. And think of it, it's doing 60% of our business during that time. If that goes down, it could be catastrophic. So our goal is to ensure that when we did our load testing, that we were able to do some rigorous scripting to ensure that we're really following how a customer would place an order through a system from end to end. So mimicking how a customer places an order multiple times on our system, that gives us somewhat of a peace of mind, but it's never the real thing when you face that day. But we have all hands on deck on the first Friday, and it worked out well. We found a couple of bugs. It wasn't perfect, but we were able to fix those issues without impacting the business. Second part of the question: what would I do again if I think? Overall, the cutover was a very smooth process. It's all about planning. It's all about doing your due diligence, and testing is so critical. And having the right people there if something goes wrong is very important. And that's one of the reasons why it took us about 2.5 years to finish this project. It took us probably about 18 months to complete the code, but The other 1 year is mostly testing and fixing bugs and things we uncovered. So a lot of testing that happens, and we have some really good people working with us that understand the business, and that's what helped us at the end of the day. Thank you for your question. Okay, everyone, thanks for your question. You can contact me on my LinkedIn. I have all my contacts there. If you want to email me, you can email me at Amar, AMAR, at pizzapizza.ca for any additional questions or information. Thank you and have a great day.